प्रभु से। दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित, प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते। प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते। वेद गाय जहाँ रचरी को, वेद गाय जहाँ रचरी को, गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनरा बंधु, गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनरा बंधु, लोकनाथ लोके राजीवाना, श्रीला प्रभुपाद लोके राजीवाना। प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पद छाया, प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पद छाया। जागु सुत्रिभुवन, शिला प्रभुपाद पतिता पवन, दुआ पद लैला शरण, जागु सुत्रिभुवन, प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पद छाया, प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पद छाया। जागु सुत्रिभुवन, शिला प्रभुपाद पतित पावन, जय प्रभुपद प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद। प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले, श्रीमद्भागवते श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्त वृंद। विभावरी शेष आलोक प्रभुष निंद्राचले उठ जीवा बोलो हरि हरि मुकुंद मुरारी राम कृष्ण हाय ग्रीवा। नरसिंह वामना श्रीमधुसूदन राजेंद्र नंदन श्यामा पूतना गातना कैतव सातन जय दशरथि रामा। यशोदा दुलाल गोविंद गोपाल वृंदावन पुरंदरा। गोपी प्रिया जन राधिका रामन भुवन सुंदर बरा। रावण ताकरा मखन ताकर गोपी जन वस्त्र हारे। ब्रजेरा राखला गोप वृंद पल चित हरे वंशधारी। योगेंद्र बंदन श्रीनंदनंदन ब्रज जन भयहारी। नवीन नीरद रूप मनोहर मोहन बंशी बिहारी। यशोदा नंदना कंसन सूदन निकुंज रास विलासी। कदम्ब कानन रस परायण बिंदा विपिन निवासी। आनंद वर्धन प्रेम निकेतन फूल सरयोज काम। गोपांगना गण चित्त विनोदन समस्त गुण गण गामा। जमुना जीवना केली परायण मानस चंद्र चकोरा। नाम सुधारस गावो कृष्ण यश राखो वचन मन मोरा। नाम सुधारस गावो कृष्ण यश राखो वचन मन मोरा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Prabhupada 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 Nitya Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaur Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupad Brahmams Parivragacharya Astotra Satas Srimad Abhay Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Brahmams Parivragacharya Astotra Satas Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Anand Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नदी धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की द्वारका धाम की अयोध्या धाम की all glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaurang. Jai Shri Taram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai. Shila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read a little from Srimad-Bhagavatam. about 9th canto, about Lord Ramachandra. So I'll go from 10:1, 9th canto, 10th chapter, verse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Just read a few. Shukadev Goswami said, the son of Maharaj Katvanga was Dirghabahu, and his son was the celebrated Maharaj Raghu. From Maharaj Raghu came Aja, and from Aja was born the great personality Maharaj Dasharatha. Being prayed for by the demigods, the supreme personality of Godhead, the absolute truth himself, directly appeared with his expansion and expansions of the expansion. Their holy names were Rama, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna. These celebrated incarnations thus appeared in 4 forms as the sons of Maharaj Dasarath. O King Parikshit, the transcendental activities of Lord Ramachandra have been described by great saintly persons who have seen the truth. Because you have heard again and again about Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Mother Sita, I shall describe these activities only in brief. Please listen. To keep the promise of his father intact, Lord Ramachandra immediately gave up the position of king and, accompanied by his wife, Mother Sita, wandered from one forest to another on his lotus feet, which were so delicate that they were unable to bear even the touch of Sita's palms. The Lord was also accompanied by Hanuman, or by another monkey, Sugriva, king of the monkeys, and by his own younger brother, Lord Lakshman, both of whom gave him relief from the fatigue of wandering in the forests. Having cut off the nose and ears of Surpanaka, thus disfiguring her, the Lord was separated from Mother Sita. He therefore became angry, moving his eyebrows and thus frightening the ocean, who then allowed the Lord to construct a bridge to cross the ocean. Subsequently, the Lord entered the kingdom of Ravana to kill him, and like a fire devouring a forest. May that Supreme Lord Ramachandra give us all protection. In the arena of the sacrifice performed by Vishwamitra, Lord Ramachandra, the king of Ayodhya, killed many demons, rakshasas, and uncivilized men who wandered at night in the mode of darkness. May Lord Ramachandra, who killed these demons in the presence of Lakshman, be kind enough to give us protection. O King, the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra were wonderful, like those of a baby elephant. In the assembly where Mother Sita was to choose her husband, in the midst of the heroes of this world, he broke the bow belonging to Lord Shiva. This bow was so heavy that it was carried by 300 men, but Lord Ramachandra bent and strung it and broke it in the middle, just as a baby elephant breaks a stick of sugarcane. Thus the Lord achieved the hand of Mother Sita, who was equally as endowed with transcendental qualities of form, beauty, behavior, age, and nature. Indeed, she was the goddess of fortune who constantly rests on the chest of the Lord. While returning from Sita's home after gaining her at the assembly of competitors, Lord Ramachandra met Parashuram. Although Parashuram was very proud, having rid the earth of the royal order 21 times, he was defeated by the Lord, who appeared to be a Kshatriya of the royal order. So this goes on, of course, and on. And if you go to Krishna.com today and look at Lord Ramachandra's pastimes, they have many different links to places you can go on the internet to read more about Lord Ramachandra. It's very nicely done there. So we have a very, very busy week ahead. Today is Tuesday, so there's Jaiva Dharma class in the temple room at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami speaks in the temple room at 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m., Mother Narayani will be here, and she'll be giving a 2-day seminar, and that will start at 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday. Saturday, we celebrate Holi, the Festival of Colors. That starts at noon. It goes till 4. There's a lot of services to do, and the sign-up list is at the back. Particularly, we need people to meet the cars from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the entrance. That's a very nice service, really, because you get to see every guest who's here, and you get to speak to them for a minute. It's a nice way for them to have their first entrance into the temple. And then we also need parking attendants, and that's on the list out in the back. You can pick your service, but please sign up for something. That would be very nice. It gets you a free pass into the festival as well. I also need a van to pick up Sri Kala and his band in Jacksonville Friday at 1 p.m. If anyone listening has a van, or we can possibly give you our van, even though it's not the nicest to sit in, to pick up someone, Sri Kala and the band, Jacksonville, 1 p.m. Friday. Please call the office and let me know. Also, I want to let you know that Shakshi and Charla had a baby boy this morning about 1:30 a.m. I don't know what they're going to name him. I'm going to just call him Ram Das. That'll just be my pet name for him. So very happy about that. Okay, these are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master dressing the deities today. Shishi Radha Sham Sundar, Mother Akuti. Chota Radha Sham Sundar, Leela Devi Dasi. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Astasaki Devi Dasi. Chota Krishna Balaram, Govinda Mohini Devi Dasi. Shri Shri Gornitai, Kaveri Devi Dasi. Chota Gornitai, Madhuri Gopi Devi Dasi. Lord Nrsingadev and the Gurus, Ram and Narayan Das. And Shesha Prabhu is giving class today.
Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram 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 Jaya Sitaram Ramchandra Bhagavan ki. This morning we're going to be reading from the Srimad-Bhagavatam, 9th canto. Mother Mukhi was reading chapter 10. We're going to be reading from chapter 11, which is entitled Lord Ramachandra Rules the World, text number 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll read the word meanings for text number 20, then we can chant. Na, not, idam, all these, yasha, fame, Raghupate, of Lord Ramachandra, Sura Vachnaya, by the prayers of the demigods, Atalila Tano, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes, Adhika Samya Vimukta Damna, no one is greater than or equal to him, Rakshavada, killing the Rakshasha, Ravana. Jaladi Kim, Jaladi Bandhanam, bridging the ocean. Astra Pugai, with bow and arrows. Kim, whatever, Tasha, his. Shatru Hanane, in killing the enemies. Kapaya, the monkeys. Sahasya, assistance. Nedam Yasho Raghupate Suravachna Yata. Lila Tano Akila Samya Vimukta Damna. Raksho Vado Jaladi Pandanam Astra Pugai. Kim Tasya Shatru Hanane Kapaya Sahaya. Nedam Yasho Raghupate Suravachna Yata. Lila Tanora Kila Samya Vimukta Damna. Raksho Vadho Jaladi Pandanam Astra Pugai. Kim Tasya Shatru Hanane Kapaya Sahaha. ladies. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Ramachandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with showers of arrows at the request of the demigods, and for having built a bridge over the ocean, does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramachandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he has no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. Purport. As stated in the Vedas, Svetastvara Upanishad 6:8, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate Natat samas cha balikas cha drishyate parasya shaktir vividhaya suyate swabhavaki jnanam bala kriya cha. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do, and no one is found to be equal to or greater than Him. For everything is done naturally and systematically by His multifarious energies. The Lord has nothing to do, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Whatever He does is His pastime. The Lord has no duty to perform to oblige anyone. Nonetheless, He appears to act to protect His devotees or kill His enemies. Of course, no one can be the Lord's enemy, since who could be more powerful than the Lord? There is actually no question of anyone being His enemy. But when the Lord wants to take pleasure in pastimes, He comes down to this material world and acts like a human being, thus showing His wonderful, glorious activities to please the devotees. His devotees always want to see the Lord victorious in varied activities, and therefore, to please Himself and them, the Lord sometimes agrees to act as a human being and perform wonderful, uncommon pastimes for the satisfaction of the devotees. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So just one note before we begin. When I asked the ladies to chant and I heard the voice, I thought, oh, it's Lakshmani. So we'd like to welcome her back from her surgery. Hope that you were well, and we're happy to have you back with us. Actually, another prelude to the discussion this morning I'd like to do is that many years ago, I had the fortune to be in the Potomac Temple in Washington, D.C. area, and there we were having an installation of Lord Ramachandra, Sita Devi, Lakshman, and Hanuman deities. And so I got to participate in that, actually carried all four of their lordships onto the altar where they still reside today. And I got to do the first arti for them. So I'd like to just pray to them that they give me their mercy, that I may say something of value this morning in this discussion of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes, and that I may be engaged by them in the service of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada this life and thereafter. Ramchandra Bhagavan ki. So, as described in the reading that Mother Mukhya did from the 10th chapter of this 9th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, we've all heard the pastimes of Ramachandra, Lord Ramachandra, many times. We're familiar with the pastimes of the Lord, and so I want to focus or begin the discussion at a particular place and time in the pastimes of the Lord, assuming that everyone is familiar with what led up to that situation. Lord Ramachandra, when finding the whereabouts of Sita through his devotees, Hanuman and others, he proceeded to the ocean in South India, and from there he was planning his attack on the kingdom of Ravana, which was Lanka, which was located across the sea. And so the Lord came there, and he waited there for 3 days. He was waiting for the ocean personified to come and grant him passage over the ocean. But although he came there, the ocean didn't come. And so he was waiting. The Lord was waiting for 3 days. Still no sign of Varunadev coming to offer his homage to the Supreme Lord. And so the Lord became angry. He became angry, and he, simply by his glance at the ocean, great aquatics in that ocean became quite agitated. The ocean itself became agitated. I think that somewhere I've read that the ocean was boiling at his angry glance, although that's not described specifically in the Srimad-Bhagavatam's relation of this issue, but it's mentioned here that that one of the reputations of the Lord is for building an ocean, a bridge over that ocean. Because after the Lord's glance and the disturbance that caused to the ocean and the aquatics in that ocean, certainly Varunadev came and he offered his obeisances to the Lord and begged his forgiveness for his impudence in not coming immediately. And the Lord was able to build this bridge over the ocean. I'm sure most of you have seen, they have these pictures these days where they have a satellite photo and you can see the bridge that connects, what is the place on the Indian side? Setu Banda. Yes, that connects us, bridges there. Whether it's actually, scientific, something scientists can discover, that's another thing, but we won't get into that. But the fact is that the Lord did build a bridge there, and it was a wonderful bridge. It was made of these big boulders and mountain peaks and all gathered by his monkey army and thrown into the sea. And they wrote the name Ram on all those boulders, and those boulders miraculously floated. And the Lord was able to cross the sea with his army of monkeys. A very fascinating thing, something that we can attribute to God. And we would attribute to God, God's power and ability. That he can control the ocean. That he can lift a mountain. But it's questioned here in the verse today. Is that the factual glory of the Lord? Is that the factual glory of the Lord? Now, I read through the next verses and everything. I don't see an answer specifically to that question. But it's posed here. It's not just posed, but it's stated. He killed Ravana, and he built this wonderful, miraculous bridge over the ocean. But it's specifically stated that does not constitute the factual glory of Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what does constitute the factual glory of the Lord? That's the answer that we need to seek out. What does constitute the actual glory of the Lord? Well, we got a hint of that in yesterday's Bhagavatam class. Nagaraj Prabhu was talking about how the Lord enjoys his pastimes. That he has various shaktis or energies which make all the arrangements for him to enjoy, and he simply has to enjoy. So that's the beginning of the answer about what is the factual glory of the Lord. The factual glory of the Lord is not that he has these shaktis or powers or abilities to lift a mountain or to build a floating bridge. The fact that he has those shaktis or energies is not his factual glory, but rather how he chooses to use those shaktis or energies. That begins us along the path of understanding his factual glory. Because he uses those tremendous, inconceivable abilities in the exchange of love with his devotees. That's his factual glory, that he exchanges love with his devotees. I mean, consider the situation of the Lord coming to the ocean before he built the bridge. He's the almighty Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it describes in the verse here. No one is his equal, no one is his superior. Yet he waited for the ocean personified to come to him. He didn't have to wait or get the permission of Varunadev to cross the ocean. But why did he do that? Why did he do that? Why do we find this characteristic in the Lord, that he makes himself dependent upon his devotees? He's not dependent. The proof is given in the purport. Natasya karyam karanam shavidyate. This verse from the Svetasvara Upanishad. Generally speaking, the Upanishads, if you want tattva, if you want to know what is the tattva, the truth of something, then you go to the Vedas, because the Vedas, unadulterated and accepted by everyone. And so the Upanishads, or the philosophical branch of the Vedas, if you want tattva, going to the Upanishads is the place to go. And Svetasvara Upanishad says that Natasya karyam karanam chavidyate, that the Lord has multiple energies, multifaceted energies that are fully under his control. No one's equal to or greater than him, and he's not dependent on anyone. That proof is given. So, the fact that the Lord uses these energies to exchange love with his devotees is also described in another verse from the Upanishads. This is from the Katu Upanishad. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam yovati dati kaman. This verse is a very interesting verse, as it explains some of the truth or tattva behind how the Lord and why the Lord exchanges with his devotees and uses his potencies to facilitate that exchange. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. This verse describes that there are two types of conscious or cognizant beings. One is the Supreme Lord, and the others are the unlimited living entities. Conscious living beings. Conscious living beings means what? It means that there is desire, there is a will, that there is identity, that the living entities have an identity, that the Lord has an identity, and there's an awareness that they're conscious of each other, or they can be conscious of each other. Unfortunately, because the jiva is so small, the jiva becomes covered by material energy and loses his consciousness of Krishna. But that capability of having consciousness and being aware of one's relationship with the Supreme Lord is there. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bhavanam Yovati Datikamam. And as this verse describes, Vididati, supplies. The relationship is based on the Supreme Lord supplying Kaman all the desires of the jiva. And so, because the Supreme Lord has multifarious energies, he never has any need. He never has any need. The living entity also has no need. But due to his ignorance, he's thinking, I have so many needs. So the Lord says that I'll provide all your necessities of life. And so ultimately, the Lord has no need. The living entity in knowledge has no need. But still there's this vididati, this exchange that takes place between the two of them. So what is that exchange? That exchange is love. And that's something that the Lord wants. The Lord wants something. He has no need, but he does want something. He wants a loving exchange with his devotees. And so, that want of the Lord is what is the basis of him using his Shaktis to exchange in pastimes, exchange love and pastimes with his devotees. This is the tattva. Why the Lord exchanges with his devotees, why he uses his energies to facilitate these kind of loving exchanges. In spite of having no need. So, Tattva is there and Leela is there. Leela explains the same thing. And we have the Lord, he comes and displays his Leela as he does in this Ram Leela. He comes and he displays his pastimes simply for the pleasure of the devotees. And there are several places where this is confirmed in Srimad-Bhagavatam and also in the Ramayana. If we look, for instance, at the verse from the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, which describes, in the third chapter, which describes all the incarnations, various incarnations. The 18th incarnation is Lord Ramachandra, in that list that leads up to Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. This verse says that in the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. Now it's very interesting here in this verse, because it says that essentially these verses leading up, in the first canto leading up to Krishna's 2 Bhagavan Swayam, they give some characteristic of each incarnation, why they appear and what they did. And so the reason here for the appearance is in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. It doesn't say in the Sanskrit to do some pleasing work for the demigods. It says to perform some activities, for the purpose of performing some activities. Prabhupada says to perform some pleasing work for the demigods because that's the reason that the Lord appears. That's the reason the Lord appears himself. Natasya karyam karanam vijite. He doesn't need to appear himself. He has energies, he has so many powerful servants. They can come and they can take care of any difficulty that can be found in this material world. No one's more powerful than him. No one's equal to him. But why does he come himself in these incarnations which are being described in the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam? To please the devotees. To perform some pleasing work for the demigods, the Lord descended. There's an interesting little story that helps understand this idea, and it's one of the Birbal stories. Prabhupada used to like to tell these Birbal stories. And so there's a story about Birbal and King Akbar. Akbar was chiding Birbal. Oh, you're Krishna. He has to come himself and save his devotees. And why doesn't he just send one of his servants or something like that? If he's God and he has so many servants, why doesn't he send one of his servants? So he was chiding Birbal like that. And so Birbal thought, I have to teach this Maharaj a good lesson. And so he had a doll maker make an exact replica of the king's grandson with a dress and everything. And so one day Birbal had the habit of walking his garden at a particular time, and there were pools of water there. And so Birbal had it arranged that this doll would be brought just at the time when Akbar was coming into the garden. So the caretaker of the grandson, who was known to the king, he came, and as Akbar was coming in, Birbal had told the caretaker, just drop the doll into the water. And so Akbar is coming and he sees what he appears to be his grandson being dropped into the water and having some difficulty swimming. And so Akbar immediately ran to the scene and dove in the water himself and got the doll, what he thought was his grandson. But he saw, this is a doll. And then Birbal said, why did you do this yourself? Why didn't one of you call some of your ministers or your soldiers or something to say, I had no time. I had to jump in right away. It was a spontaneous love for my grandson. And then Birbal had made his point. Why does Krishna come for his devotees? Why does he come to perform some pleasing work for the demigods? Because he wants to please his devotees. Yes, he has so many Shaktis that could come, but he himself comes for this reason only, because it's a spontaneous love and affection that he has for his devotees. So the Lord appears for that reason, and if we study many of the things that happen, instances from the Ramayana, we get the same understanding about the nature of the Lord wanting, not needing to, but wanting to interact with his devotees. The question is posed in today's verse about the Lord. He had no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. So why did he take help from the monkeys of all things? Well, especially because if we look at Tattva, we see that the power, whatever power the monkeys had, where did it come from? Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahanam yovadidati kaman. They're dependent for that power on the Supreme Lord. Natashikaram na karanam davidyate. All the power, the origin of it all is the Supreme Lord. So why did he have to take help from the monkeys? He didn't have to take help from the monkeys. That's tattva. They took help from him. But what is Leela? Leela is that he took help from them to exchange love with them. Another example can be given in this regard. Sometimes we see a small child. Prabhupada has given this example. Sometimes we see a small child. They're being fed by their parent. The maintenance, the food, the money for it, and everything is provided by the parent, and they're feeding the small child. But that certainly gives a certain pleasure to the parent. But what gives more pleasure to the parent is when that child takes that food and offers it back. Here, you have it. They put it in your mouth. Oh, then there's some exchange. There's an exchange of love between parent and child. Same principle is here. He took help from the monkeys. They're getting their power and strength from him. Why are they? But they're offering it back to him, and he's accepting it. That's a Leela. That exchange of love is there. That's why he took help from the monkeys, to please his devotees. Another instance in the Lord's pastimes that illustrates this point was when Sita was kidnapped by Ravana. We know the pitiful scene that's described. Of late, I've been listening to some recitation of the Ramayana that Radhanath Swami did several years ago at this point. But he gets so animated and uses such nice adjectives when he's discussing the pastimes of Ram in this particular time, and especially when he describes the asuras and the demons, you know. Not only did Suparnika have ugly eyes, but she had tormented eyes. There were ugly and tormented eyes. And so very nice descriptions he has. So you can imagine the pitiful scene that's described when Sita is kidnapped from the forest by Ravana. And, you know, Ram was away chasing the golden deer, and as he was coming back to the hermitage, what did he see? He saw Lakshman running toward him. Imagine what he felt when he saw Lakshman running towards him, because he knew what that meant. He knew that Sita had been kidnapped, had been taken away, and his grief just poured out. He was weeping and crying. This is Bhagavan. This is the possessor of all opulences, all potencies, all abilities. He's weeping and crying in separation from Sita. How are we to understand this? How are we witness to such activities? The Lord comes to display his pastimes. How are we witness to such activities? Well, this is the Lord's mercy in displaying his love for his devotees. If he had to maintain all that is necessary to have a scene like this appear before our eyes, his all cognizance and awareness, he knows Sita's not in danger, he knows that Ravana kidnapped her, all these things. How is he unaware of these things? Due to his potencies, his Shaktis arrange everything so he has the freedom to fully love Sita. He has the freedom to fully love Sita. Any loved one that we're separated from, short time or long time, naturally we miss that person. We feel love, love is heightened in our heart for them. So why not the Supreme Lord? Why can't he feel those things? He feels those things to degrees in which we cannot imagine how deep they were. And therefore, with his Shaktis or energies making all arrangements, he's free to love Sita fully and display that by weeping and crying at the fact that Ravana had come to take her away. This is the Leela of the Lord. But we should understand it's possible because of the tattva. The tattva is there, and if we understand the tattva, we can understand the Leela. Similarly, Lord Ramachandra came as a human being to instruct us in so many ways. His Kripa Shakti, his mercy, he displays his mercy to us in many ways, and he came to teach us so many things that we humans need to know to exist within this material world. He came and he told us how to act when we're obliged by material circumstances to do one thing or another. One interesting fact we see about Lord Ramachandra's pastime is that often when he was traveling in the forest, he would meet persons and he would introduce himself to them. And when he would introduce himself, he would say that I'm the son of Maharaj Dasrath. I've been banished to the forest for 14 years due to the wish of my stepmother. And so he would explain everything about the material circumstances. He wasn't trying to run and hide from those circumstances. He accepted them. He willingly accepted them. And such an important lesson this is. In this material world, how many times are we obligated to accept some circumstance that we wouldn't automatically want to accept? And how do we rebel against it or wish it could change or, I hope it rains tomorrow so I don't have to go and do this work I was supposed to do and so many things. We want so many excuses. But Ramchandra made no excuses. He accepted his fate. And that's such an important lesson for us to learn as human beings. Ravana thought so little of humans that he didn't ask protection from being killed by them. But Lord Ram incarnated as a human being to give us these lessons, to teach us duty. Duty to his father, to our parents, our elders. Something, again, that's practically lost in society today, but do we think it has no cost? Do we think it has no cost? Obviously, it does have a cost, this loss of respect for one's superiors. He made no protest at all, not even the slightest hint of a protest when his father told him to go to the forest. Not even the slightest hint of a protest. To his mothers, we know how Kaikeyi became influenced and requested the banishment of Ram. And so you think that, and we see even that her own son Bharat, what did he do when he found out about this? I disown you. He was very upset with his mother. But Ram himself, he had no such feelings against someone that wronged him. He had no such feelings. That may be very difficult for us to take that lesson, to follow that lesson, but it's there nonetheless. And we should learn it, should appreciate it. He had obligations to his citizens. Tamahar was mentioning this on Sunday, how it was a particularly hard lesson for him to see that he had to banish Sita to satisfy his citizens. And it's indeed very hard. But these things give us pause to think and meditate on the Lord and see why and how I'm benefited by this example given by the Supreme Lord. To his elders, to the sages, Vishwamrita, if there was ever a rite of passage story that needs to be told or listened to, it's Ram's journey with Vishwamrita. He took him to the forest. He taught him everything. the Ram could ask questions. Oh, tell me the history of this. Tell me the history of that. Vishwamitra instructed him. He took him from boyhood to manhood. He took Ram from boyhood to manhood, Vishwamitra. And Ram was so appreciative of that. And so the Lord doesn't have to do any of these things. He has no duty. But he does them to exchange love with his devotees and to benedict his devotees by his Kripa Shakti, or his mercy. This is the pastime, this is the incarnation, the real glory, the factual glory of the Supreme Lord, that he does these things to benefit us. So better we become fit candidates to receive his mercy, so that we can also exchange loving affairs with him. So these are some thoughts on the appearance of Lord Ram today, his appearance day. Any short comments, Mother Swaha?
Thank you very much for a very enlightening class. I just wanted to add a point that Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport. He says, Lord Ram specifically wanted to instruct that how people who are very attached to their wives, they are doomed to suffer, and he was explaining that he acted in such a way that, people will think that he's crying in separation, but actual fact is that he was displaying Vipralambha bhav and tasting the ecstasy of separation. But ordinary people might look at it and think that, he's pining for Sita. But he wanted to instruct that how common people should not be so attached and so leads to intense suffering.
Yeah, that's very good. And it's interesting because what you're describing is part of this factual glory of the Lord that's realized on different levels. And so his crying can, yes, be understood as you've described. Just see, if you become overly attached in this world, you'll have to suffer. And then it can be same thing can be understood a little deeper, though, that he's crying in Vipralambha. This many meanings to the Lord's activities is part of the factual glory of the Lord. So thank you very much for making that point. Yes? Actually, it's interesting you're saying that, because that's also shows the factual glory of the Lord is that he understands the mentality of the conditioned souls and how they'll do like you say, oh no, why is he going and disturbing this man? And so his pastimes aren't so simple that somebody can make that argument. He has it arranged so that it all works, and that the arguments that the atheists would have, fall apart. They can't be made. So yeah, that's interesting. How the Lord encompasses all aspects. And this is the expertise of the Shaktis of the Lord. They're so expert that they arrange everything so that there's no loopholes. The Lord's message gets across to everyone. So thank you.
And then Prabhupada
Hare Krishna. Ram Ram. Says God. Prabhupada says, they don't give up. So then Prabhupada went all the way to the Vaikuntha Garden in his 10-day time. And then he still told a secret story, a secret pastime I never heard. It almost like resolved my understanding of Ram's position. He says, actually, when Lord Krishna had a beautiful Rashtriya, and after that he disappeared from the Rashtriya. And then at that time, Lord Ram appeared. And where Lord Krishna could see Radharani and alone went. And despite nobody knew, then they found the footprint which recently had. So that there Ram appeared to worship Radha Govinda. So Ram actually worshipped Radha Govinda. That's his story. Ram is the student of everyone. But Ram also has a student with Radha Govinda. So Prabhupada said, that part they don't know. So then he got up and he's coming back again. And that man was exactly saying he's coming back other side. So Prabhupada again stopped with his cane and said, Hare Krishna. And that man said, Ram Ram. And then Prabhupada again twice. And then he said, same thing, Ram Ram. Prabhupada said, they will never fail.
Well, I mean, in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes also, we know there are some famous Ram Bhaktas, including Nupama, the brother of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and Murari Gupta. They were also asked, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also asked Murari Gupta personally, to just accept Krishna. And then he said, okay. But then he had a very difficult night. He couldn't give up his love for Raghupati. And so maybe some of us also have that sentiment. We can't give up. It's okay. Hare Krishna. Ram Ram.
You were explaining the story of Alachua and how the person takes care. Another way we can see it is that the Lord has, just like the leader for a country, there are so many ministers for all different departments, education, finance, whatever. For his own family, there are no ministers for that. So the devotees fall in that category for his personal families.
Yes,
He comes personally to take care of the different.
yes,
No agents for that.
yes. Personally cares for the devotees. That's the benefit.